Hey Mary, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good.
Good. So I thought maybe that we'd start with Monet. How does that sound?
That sounds great. She's definitely somebody I need some help with. Yeah.
And I went through your cans before supervision, and I noticed here that you have rated her 2 for suicide risk, and she also has a 2 for anger. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Okay, well, yes, let's see here. I mean, it's a little unclear exactly all the details of things, but I know that Mom was explaining in one of her drawings that she drew a picture. We think it's kind of her, but it's with a noose around her neck and like blood dripping. It was pretty like gory. I mean, she's 7, so it was uncomfortable for Mom, and that's I think part of the reason why she got the services. And so there's that piece that I'm a little unsure exactly what it's like her words, but I know that picture was drawn. She was kind of off the hook, to be honest, in session. Like, she was all over the board, and like Mom would tell her to sit down and be quiet, and then she'd get upset, and so it was really hard to have these conversations.
Were you able to do a safety plan with them and talk about the picture and what's been going on in terms of suicide risk?
That was a little bit trickier. Like I said, I got a little bit from Mom, but then the tantrums kind of went up, and it was really hard to go from there. I know that they've been through a lot, and one of the things that they've gone through is that actually there was DV, and Dad went to jail for that. Okay. So I know they've been through that. She's witnessed some of those things. Mom still has a lot of medical issues. Yeah. I think it might be related.
From the domestic violence.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I noticed here that you scored adjustment to trauma as a 0. Right?
Yeah. Well, when I asked, when we were going through the cans, it was like, is there any trauma? And they're like, no. So it was kind of hard for me to know, like, well, you do have trauma, like telling them that. So I guess I didn't know how to handle that.
Because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
So how are some ways that we can address trauma with the family? I know that the cans is new for you. What do you think are some ways that we can go back and discuss the trauma piece with Monet and Mom?
Yeah. Well, I guess I definitely have to get more comfortable in asking some of these questions. Maybe that's something that we can work on in
How
our
about some psychoeducation?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Talking about what trauma is, right? So they understand. Sometimes if you just ask someone, have you had any trauma, they may be unsure what you're asking them. Right. And what actually constitutes trauma.
Okay.
Right? So do some education with them and supporting them with being able to acknowledge that the domestic violence and what they've seen and Dad being out of the home for the domestic violence is a trauma piece.
Yeah. So do you think that's what's kind of what's behind all this oppositional behavior then is a lot of this trauma?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. You're showing here, suicide risk is 2. She's having some anger issues. I think it's more than just the defiant piece. There's other pieces that are contributing to her behavior. Yeah. And your cans is showing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else is going on with caregiver? I know you mentioned that caregiver has some medical issues, and there's also some residential stability. You rated as a 2.
Actually, if you look at it, I think what I put as 2 is knowledge and...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, knowledge and the supervision. So I think Mom just does not know how to respond to Monet. She doesn't know how to manage those behaviors. She doesn't know how to talk about the things that they've been through, it seems like. And clearly, I think that's why we weren't talking about it in the cans, is because it's really awkward and uncomfortable for Mom to even admit some of the things going on. So I think that's definitely a challenge for her.
I think it would be really great to do some collateral sessions with Mom as well. Right?
Yeah, that would be a good idea. Yeah.
So any other areas that you're concerned with?
Well, it's acting out, and then I think as we're talking, it's realizing, okay, there's this trauma, and that's probably what's fueling some of this acting out. She's witnessed a lot of violence, so for her to be, expressing it in all these different ways makes sense. It looks like it comes out at home and at school. So
I think it's very important for you to normalize as well how she's feeling, and where some of these behaviors are coming from. So I think between now and our next supervision, that you definitely meet with Monet and Mom and talk about this trauma piece.
right.
So
Do
you
a
can be
safety
properly
plan.
rated. Yeah, and
Yeah.
definitely do a safety plan.
Okay.
And make sure that the interventions that are on the safety plan, they have buy-in to those, and that they're willing to utilize those, as her suicide risk is very important.
Okay.
We need to make sure that we're addressing that.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good.
All right.
Thanks.
You're welcome.